Welcome to the Squared Circle Gridiron. I am Don Wayne. To my right is Ricky. Below me is Ron. We got some football to talk about. I hope you guys are ready for this because it was kind of a wild weekend in the NFL. College, not so much. The haves and the have-nots, if you will.
Yeah.
I figured we might as well start with the toast of the town, Georgia. They did it again. Number one team in the country. Not pretty. They just win, baby. Al Davis would be proud of this squad. Carson Beck started off slow, came on like gangbusters in the end. Defense did enough to win the game. Outscored them 17-10 in the fourth quarter. Auburn didn't really do enough to win. That offense, the quarterback situation was terrible. The running game is what kept them in the game. They put 219 on the Dogs. Georgia ran for $107, but Brock Bowers, the number one draft pick as far as tight end goes in the NFL, have a day, young man. 8 for $157 and a touchdown with a long of 40. I know you guys aren't big on Georgia. I'm going to say it till it stops. Until you win them, they are the team to – until you beat them, they are the team to beat. Plain and simple.
Yeah. To be the man, you got to beat the man, right?
Ric Flair said it best. Did you guys got anything to say about it? Were you shocked at anything? I was shocked at Auburn being able to run the ball like they did.
Look, I think if you're a team –
Yeah, go ahead, Rick.
Ron, I was just going to say, I think if you're a team like Auburn, you're playing Georgia like it's your national championship game. I'm not surprised that it was close. And like you said, until you get beat, you're still the number one team. I got them at number one. I don't care if you win by 7 points or 38 points. Until they lose, they are the number one team.
It's kind of hard to argue that they shouldn't be number one because they haven't lost in so long.
They're just,
It's true.
You can
the wins
go ahead, Rob.
it seems like the wins they should be blowing out a lot of these teams, and they're not. So that's just, I agree with until they get beat, they should be number one, but they're going to get beat pretty quickly here.
Okay, we'll see. I mean, it keeps looking like it every weekend, and they keep pulling it out. And if you remember when the season started, I said when the season started, this is a young team. They've got a lot of new parts, and it's going to take them a really long time to find their way. That Auburn game started to look like maybe they were finding their way, right? Their number one wideout, he just came back. He's finally back off of injury. He was finally starting to find his legs again. He's a speedy little guy, number 84. I like where they're going. It looks like they're building that way. Not a fan of what that rushing defense looked like. That was not fun to watch. Auburn ran all over them.
Yeah, they did. I was surprised how good they look running the ball to Auburn.
Get in there, Ricky. I see you.
Well, I'll tell you what. I think it's cool that these games are actually close, that they're actually playing good games, because then you can hang in for the whole game and watch it, where most of the time they're blowing a team out by halftime, you turn it off. So I think it's actually cool that the games are close.
Yeah, I've been surprised that it's been this close, but like I said when the season started, it was going to be a battle. Kentucky, speaking of running all over somebody's ass, ran all over Florida. Can someone explain to me what the hell is wrong with Florida? Because I can't figure it out. They look like world beaters against Tennessee. A week or two later, they can't run the ball. They threw it a little, but not great. And they just 329 rushing yards against them. Davis had a day, 280 with 3 tutties on the day. That's just embarrassing if you're the head coach of Florida. That can't happen to you.
They're a pretty young team, though, aren't they? Is it the quarterback a freshman or sophomore?
It's a young team, yes, but they're so up and down. That's sort of my issue with them, is that they're not consistent. They're not consistently doing anything on offense or defense. Tennessee, they ran all over them. They couldn't run for anything this past weekend. So I'm not sure how long it's going to take them to get there. They're really up and down. They're obviously not the Florida we know with the Tebow era. I don't know they'll ever be back up there again. I don't know if they have the money in college football like the Texas and Alabamas and Georgias do. Just my take on it. Rick, you got anything on that?
I was surprised they didn't use Trevor Etienne anymore. They use him the first couple games, and I'm just looking at his stats now. 11 carries, 29 yards. 2.6 a carry. I don't know what the hell happened to him. Didn't he have? He had a couple good games. So you know what? Honestly, I can't quite figure him out either. So
there were 2 games that really. Go ahead. I'm sorry, Rob.
Isn't the quarterback from Kentucky from your area, Ricky?
Yeah, I was actually going to mention that. So I didn't even know that he transferred over to Kentucky. He was with NC State for, I think, 3 years, and then he redshirted during COVID. I mean, I think he's been playing college for like 5 or 6 years. But yeah, but he is actually still to this day the all-time leading passer in South Jersey. And I actually saw him play a couple times in high school. And one of the games I saw, he played the brother of Joe Flacco, and they each had like 500 yards passing. It was actually a really cool game.
Did you guys catch the? I'm not going to cover it in detail, but Michigan just beat the hell out of Nebraska. I feel bad for Nebraska fans, man. That's a solid fan base. They struggled for so long. They just got waxed in that game. There was nothing positive they could take out of that. When you get 45 hung on you, you score 1 touchdown. I mean, that's a tough day as a fan, man.
Yeah, I mean, it's been bad since Tom Osborne left. I don't know. Has there been a Nebraska team good since he left?
I don't know.
Since
it's always
Fraser.
It's always hype and nothing happens.
Yeah.
Ron, did you got anything for that one? Just if you don't, that's fine. Just curious.
No, I briefly watched it, then switched back to a better game because it's just just wasn't the blowout. So it's no fun watching it.
No, it wasn't. The game that surprised me first was Mississippi and LSU, right? Like that was. I feel for anybody living in Louisiana right now, man. If you are a diehard LSU Tiger or a diehard Saints fan, which we'll get into later, Larry, talking to you, bud, that's tough times, man. This defense for LSU is embarrassing the fan base. It's all-time bad. I don't know that I've ever seen an LSU defense play this bad in my life. 637 yards for LSU. They had a hell of a game on offense. They gave up 706. I mean, that's when your offense gets 600 yards on offense and you lose the game because you didn't get as many offensive yards. Man, I'm not saying somebody's got to lose their job. Somebody should probably be looking at losing their job.
Yeah.
They actually made that quarterback they actually made Jackson Dart look like Joe Montana.
It was hard, man. Larry, hard times. I know, Daddy. Hard times. The other game that kind of surprised me was the Texas-Kansas game. Did you guys catch that about midway through the third quarter? Because Texas was having to battle in that game a little bit. And then come the third quarter, they just put it on them and never looked back. I mean, they just ran away from the whole thing, man. I was really impressed with Texas. To me, I think they're the second best team in the country. I think they should be ranked number 2 because they beat an SEC power. They've actually beat some tough teams. They've beat some ranked teams. Ewers, he was steady. Nothing that'll blow your hair back. His wide receivers were running everywhere. That kid Brooks was just on fire. That kid was everywhere.
Oh. Yeah, so I actually have them ranked number 2, Texas.
Okay, so we're on the same wavelength. Go ahead, Ron.
And Kansas' starting quarterback was out, Daniels. So I don't know if that made a difference or not, but he suited up and had a tightness in his back, so they didn't start him. Because the kid that was his backup, he was horrible.
He might have been, but I don't think it would have mattered in that third and fourth quarter. They could not stop Texas, and that wide receiver was uncoverable. They couldn't cover that guy no matter what they did. Safety over the top, cornerback playing man, cornerback playing off, nothing stopped them. I'm thoroughly impressed with Texas. I'm not going to say they're back just yet, but they're damn sure they're a damn sight better than they were 3 years ago. That's a football team right now that's on the up and up.
Absolutely.
We said we talk about it, so I'm going to talk about it. Alabama, right? A couple of weeks ago, we were talking about it. Some of the damn bandwagon fans talking about it's time to get rid of Saban. Saban's got to go. He's too old for the game. We said it. I said it a couple weeks ago. You guys agreed.
Absolutely.
That you're going to see them get back to an old school Alabama type team where the quarterback's going to run a little bit more. They're going to utilize his legs, not ask him to do as much passing anymore. They're really going to go back on the fundamentals of defense, hold them and stop them. Don't let them get anything on you. Moreau only threw the ball 12 times, but he was effective when he threw it. He didn't throw any touchdowns, but he didn't throw any picks either. He ran for 2 touchdowns, 69 yards. As a team, they ran it 43 times. That says something for Alabama when you see in today's college football game a team run it that many times that, face it, I think Alabama's a top 10 team. I really do. I honest to God, think they should be in the top 10. And they ran the ball effectively against Mississippi State, who hangs their hat on that run defense. So I was thoroughly impressed with what Saban and his team did. What do you think, Ron?
I I told you guys that I was going to be able to watch a couple of games because I took the granddaughter to see the Paw Patrol movie. Great movie for kids. So I missed it. Hey, a cool papa's got to do cool papa things, you know. Plus the kids got plus the kids got to see Jason Aldean, so that's cool. No, but Alabama's actually at number 11 now. So
they're up to 11? Okay.
Yeah, right outside the top 10. So
Ricky,
I can't.
Go ahead, Ron. Sorry.
Yeah, I couldn't put anything in on this. So it's all you guys, man.
I enjoyed it.
I did too. I thought, like you said, though, I thought they stayed within themselves. I thought, Milroe, he only had 10 of 12, 164, but he didn't make any mistakes, turnovers, interceptions. I thought Alabama stayed within themselves. They had a very nice game plan. I think that's what you're going to see from a Nick Saban coach team now is maybe they don't have the offensive weapons like they had in the past, but if you could coach with what you have and with the coaching ability that he has, I mean, they obviously have talent. I mean, it's friggin' Alabama. So they got talent. They just might not be what we saw them be in the past, but that doesn't mean that they can't be a top 10 team, a top 8 team.
I feel you on that. Ricky, I want to talk about your boys, Penix Jr., Washington.
Yeah. Ooh, man, he's just
they had a battle this weekend against Arizona, winning by 7. I mean, winning by 7, a win's a win. I'm not going to take anything away from them. It was a tough game. Their defense struggled a little bit out there. They gave up 3 passing touchdowns. The rushing defense was pretty stout. It wasn't terrible. But Penix Jr., man, I know he's got some weapons, but that game he really showed me. He really distributed the ball out there a lot. 8-5, 1-5-5. I mean, those are the receptions for some of his players. So he was throwing it out there quite a bit. He wasn't just targeting his 2 favorite guys. He's got to be one of the front runners for the Heisman, right? It's got to be the kid, USC first, Washington second, Penix second, right? I mean, that's how I see the Heisman right now.
I can't argue with that. I think that's exactly it. This kid Penix, like I said, it just seems like week after week he has the same numbers. Listen, Washington might not have a great defense, but what are they, 5-0? I mean, Penix has numbers every week. He's got wide receivers. They actually ran the ball a bit too. Now they're playing Arizona, so I don't know how good their defense is, but Washington's a good team.
Ron, were you lucky enough to catch this one because it was entertaining?
Nope.
That's fine. But I mean, if you get a chance, watch them because they're, that team it's a lot of fun to watch, man. They're a lot of fun to watch. I know you got a lot of duties on the weekends, but if you get a chance, watch that team, man. That Penix kid's for real.
Hey, I'll tell you what. You know what? In a kind of a funny way, Washington reminds me of Colorado without all the Deion hype. Like they're the same type of offense. I think they're better than Colorado offensively.
It's funny. I saw a mock draft today, and Penix wasn't even in the first round.
I've seen those two. I've seen those two. I'm not buying that yet. Like,
no,
you're not looking at Penix. I mean, he's not a small kid either. He's a bigger kid.
Yeah,
you're not going to see that guy and not see talent on that guy. Like somebody's going to take a risk on him. I think in the first round.
Is Penix a senior? Is Penix done this year, or does he have more eligibility?
I think he's done. I'd have to go back and look.
I didn't look, but
I mean, he played it. I think it was Indiana before, right? Isn't that where he came from?
Yeah.
It was Indiana. Yeah. So I think he's coming to the end of his eligibility.
Okay.
Let me look it up real quick.
Yeah, it says he's a senior. So like all this new college transfer shit. I don't know how that works anymore, but.
Well, the COVID shit too. I mean, who the hell knows anymore with these guys?
Stuff. Yeah.
I'm an 8th-year senior getting my doctorate. I got 2 years of eligibility left because of COVID. I redshirted my sophomore year. It's like, what the hell, dude?
That's the quarterback for Oregon, Nix. I swear to God. He's been playing college football for, I think, like 6, 7, 8 years.
He's been around for a minute. He's got a full-grown family and has a side hustle.
Wait, his kid that he had when he was just starting out in college is going to high school next year. I can't believe it.
Oh man, I did want to talk about the Colorado USC game because that was weird, man. That's probably on a scale of 1 to 10 on weirdness. That was like an 8. Like that's the weirdest game I've seen all year. I mean, easily. Colorado is getting the absolute ass handed to them in the first half. Cannot do anything right. Caleb Williams is throwing darts all over the field, looking like the Heisman frontrunner that he is. And the second half, USC's defense showed up that I was afraid was going to show up earlier this year and showed me exactly why I can't take them seriously right now as a national championship contender. That defense cannot stop you, man. Sanders started throwing the ball all over the field. The first half, I want to say he barely had 100 yards, I want to say is what I saw before. I had to go to a soccer game. I'm sitting here. I get to the soccer field with my son. I'm watching the game on the phone with my mouth agape like, how is this happening right now? USC could not stop them to save their life. There's no way anybody can convince me USC should be a top 5 team. I'm not going to buy it. The defense is too much of a liability. Caleb Williams threw for 403 yards, 6 touchdowns, and 1 pick, and they barely survived. Barely survived. Ricky, go ahead. I know you're high on USC.
Well, I got to be honest. You said you had to go out. I ended up turning it off. I ended up going out and doing a couple things. I couldn't believe it. When my daughter, I was saying in the text, she texted me and said, Dad, Colorado's only down by a touchdown. I'm like, no way. I couldn't believe it. I could not believe it. I thought after the first half, I thought USC was going to score 84 points.
Yeah.
I mean, so, I give a lot of credit to Colorado for kind of battling back and showing that. Don, I don't know how bad USC's defense is. I mean, if you give up those kind of points to Colorado, are you that bad, or is Sanders and that offense that good? I mean, it's hard to say.
Yeah, that was it was till 2 halves. I don't know what Dion said at halftime.
Oh, God.
I don't know if you told him if you want to continue playing, you better play, otherwise you're off the team. But man, USC could not stop that Omarion kid.
No, could not. The kid from Louisiana. Louisiana product.
Jason knows him.
Yeah.
But now, at the end of the game, if the offensive coordinator would have been calling the right plays, he screwed the pooch a little bit because Colorado had a chance to tie the game, if not win it.
I'm glad you mentioned that, Ron. I'm glad you mentioned that. Go ahead.
Because he's why you calling running plays? It didn't make any sense. The play calling. It didn't make no sense.
Yeah, it was highly questionable when you've got to get down the field and score quickly to start calling the run plays like they did. I saw a lot of slack for that online. I'm wondering if maybe the wide receivers and the offensive line was just gassed from pass blocking and running routes, and he was trying to give them a break. But I agree. You got to throw the ball down the field. I mean, if you want to run them on first down to give them a breather, you got to start chucking it after that. I didn't really understand the play calling. I didn't get it either.
Yeah, a lot of people. I guess Hunter's going to be out another 2 to 3 weeks, Dion said. I saw.
Yeah, that's a tough break too for the kid, man.
It is.
Great kid. I mean, both, it's rare you see a two-way player like that, man, and I'm going to miss him. So that's about all I got. You got anything else to add for that one, Ricky?
Mm-mm.
All right, nope. Ron, we're going to talk about your Utah Utes and the horseshit offense we saw out there that was god-awful. Look, I know Nate Johnson's a freshman and he's really having to learn the position, but 8 of 23, man. That's just, I don't care who you are. That's not going to ever get it done. This was one of those games where you're watching it in today's college football and you're sitting there thinking, have I transported back to 1985 where the defenses are just mugging wide receivers off the line and they can't get free? Yeah. Neither one of the offenses could really do a damn thing all day. I mean, it was ugly football. Oregon State won by 2 touchdowns. Utah scored late. It wasn't much of a game. I don't know how Utah can hang out in the top 20. Where are they ranked right now?
10, right?
They were in that game.
Oh,
No, they dropped to 14, I believe.
14.
Yeah.
I don't know how. I don't know how you can look at that team and think that's a 14th ranked team. I mean, you're telling me,
way.
yeah, they're just a couple of spots worse than Alabama. I can't buy that. Ricky, you got anything?
Well, what did they beat UCLA by last week? A touchdown? Or was it a 14-7, something like that?
Yeah, it was something like that.
So what's that? 21 points in 2 weeks? I mean, that's kind of hard for a top 15 team, right?
It's hard to hang your hat on that at the end of the day. It
Ron,
really is.
Ron, why are they struggling so bad on offense? Is it just the quarterback, young, rookie, or
I think it's
not rookie, but young kid?
Well, and then they bring the other quarterback in, and he's getting them going, and he throws interception. They're missing their quarterback.
Yeah,
they're missing the quarterback. That Johnson kid. He never played quarterback before. I think that's what they said at the beginning of the game. So why even playing him there?
Yeah.
I think they play him there because of his legs. He can move out of the pocket and he can scramble a little bit. He's fast. But the passing aspect, man, it's not there yet. And I don't know how you can keep trotting him out there. I'm not saying, look, next year you got to redshirt him, right, so he can learn the position. Yeah. I think he got thrown out there this year because of the injury of the quarterback, him not being ready to start the season after he blew his knee out. I think that's adding to a lot of what's happening out there.
Now, what do you guys see of the Oregon State quarterback? Obladi, whatever his name is.
Shoot, I forgot to look at his numbers. I can't remember.
I thought he had pretty decent numbers. He was 14 to 25, 205 yards, touchdown, interception.
Yeah. That's what I thought. Like he didn't wow me when I was seeing him. It wasn't like I was like, oh my God, this guy's amazing. He just sort of was out there running the team, moving the chains. It wasn't anything that was really going to get my attention as far as the guy that's going to, stay in the top 10 like that. That's just me. I mean, whatever.
No, and the commentators talking about him about being a good pro prospect. I'm watching this kid throw, and he had the most wonky delivery. It reminded me of Byron Leftwich, how he threw.
Wow. Well, you know what that is, don't you? That's called homerism. Those are homer guys pulling for their West Coast quarterback, wanting him to do well. Yeah, I remember it now. He didn't look great. I mean, Oregon State's offense didn't look impressive at all. I mean, I also got to give credit to Utah. The defense is real. Utah's defense is tough as hell. So maybe it was just a combination of Utah's defense and Oregon State's offense, not being a good matchup for each of them as far as Oregon State being able to show what you could do. Utah they kept putting themselves in bad positions with 3 and outs, man. It was brutal to watch. I clicked in and out when I could, but it was just brutal to watch.
Hey, tell me if I'm wrong. Is the quarterback for Oregon State, DJ Ulagale, did he play at Clemson? Yeah. Was that did he?
I think that is the kid. Yeah. I think that is the kid.
Yeah. He ended up transferring from Clemson, right?
Yeah, I think that's the kid. Yeah, you're right. I forgot all about that. That seems like a lifetime ago, man.
I know. Well, I'm looking at the kid's name. I'm thinking, wait a minute. Where do I know that kid's name from?
Yeah, because he came on his freshman year when Trevor got hurt and looked like all world. And the next year he couldn't do anything.
I had no idea what happened to him. Now I'm looking at the kid's name. I'm like, wait a minute. That's the same kid.
I had totally forgot that about him. That's where he's at now. I didn't even recognize him watching the game.
Well, I'm sitting here trying to pronounce the kid's last name in my head. I'm like, I can't pronounce his name. I'm like, wait a minute. I tried to do that a couple of years ago and I couldn't do it.
I remember screwing this kid's name up before.
I'm like, fuck. I'm like,
yeah.
There was the Penn State game. They ran roughshod over, Northwestern University.
I'll tell you what, I really like them. I'm not it's not a homer pick either. I really like them. I do. All right, Don.
I'm gonna have to see it. I'm gonna have to see it.
Don, I want to ask you this, Ron as well. Who do you like as a more complete team right now if they play tomorrow? USC or Penn State?
Penn State.
I would like Penn State as a complete team, but I don't like them coming out of the Big Ten. And I guess that's my issue.
Okay.
I don't see them coming out of the Big Ten.
Yeah, well, they have to beat Michigan and they have to beat Ohio State. That's a lot to ask. That's a lot to ask. It certainly is. It is.
Especially with that quarterback, because that quarterback still hasn't impressed me yet. Oregon, I was worried about Oregon in this game. I don't know if you guys were or not. That was a huge game against Colorado last week. You know what happens a lot of times after you have one of those big up games. The next week, you have a big down game. That coach, hey, round of applause, man. You kept them kids focused. They came out there and handled business against Stanford and just ran up. I mean, beat the hell out of them. Good on them. I wasn't even watching the game. The score just popped up, and it was a lot to, a little. And I was like, well, I'm not checking that out.
Well, I'm looking at the box score now, and I'm looking at Nick's, right? Just because he had 290 yards and he had 4 touchdowns. I mean,
efficient as it gets.
Yeah.
I did, however, watch my Volunteers and your Gamecocks go at it.
Oh, I just can't. I don't know what the deal is with South Carolina and Rattler, man. It's like one week they could beat the San Francisco 49ers, and the next week they end up looking like dog shit.
I guess my question would be, why didn't Mario Henderson get the ball more for South Carolina? Like, I don't get that. He was running all over the place. He had a 76-yard run. He had a couple of 4- and 5-yard pops, and I was terrified they were going to give that kid the ball more. I was like, once he popped that big one, I was like, if they keep going to that kid, Tennessee's going to have a long night. I said it before the year started. I wasn't sold on Milton. I'm really not sold on him now. I'm not sold on Milton. I don't know he's the guy. I know he's not the guy. I'll put it to you this way. I know he's not the guy now. 20-32, but it was 2 picks, man, that kept South Carolina in the game. I didn't care for it. I don't think the guy is the right guy. The offense running the ball, I mean, they got a 2-headed monster back there, and they kept giving them the ball. They ran it 40 times. They knew what they had in that game. I hope my Vols do something. I ain't got a whole lot of hope right now.
Well, you have more hope in them than I do in South Carolina because they just look like dog shit. I mean, Spencer Rattler, again, this is his 4th year playing college ball, and he's regressed. I mean, he can't hit open reads. He doesn't hit his hot rate. I mean, like I said, he'll have one good week, and then he'll look like he looked last week. Now, maybe it was Tennessee's defense. Maybe they schemed it up, whatever, but when you're a 4th year starter, or Spencer might even be a 5th year starter, you got to be able to read defenses better. And he just, to me, from what I've seen the last couple of weeks, he just doesn't look like he can really read them.
How do you not give that kid the ball more though if you're South Carolina? I mean, he 70-something yards, and he gets a total of 10 times in that game. Like the guy was a home run threat. I was scared to death. I was like, please don't give that ball. Please don't give him the ball no more.
He averaged over 10 yards a carry. You got to give the ball more. You can't only give it to him 10 times, especially when you're struggling in a passing game. You got to give it to him more. I don't really know what Beamer was doing. The fucking play calling was horrible.
Ron, did you catch any of it? I know you, like you said, you were Paw Patrol.
No. Nope.
That's all I got for week 5. Was there anything else you guys wanted to hit on?
No, I think we have a lot to cover in the NFL here.
Yeah, we do. Week 6, however, in college football, I want to run down that real quick. Yeah. We got some matchups, boys. We got some matchups in week 6. The Red River Shootout is back. And the SEC, I heard that the SEC commissioner or whatever he is, he's going to be in attendance to see what this is all about. I don't think he's ever been there. You got LSU and Missouri going at it. I'm going to be interested in that game. And most of these games, by the way, that kick off this weekend, most are noon games. Did you guys catch that?
No, cool.
No.
Yeah, the Red River's a noon game. The Missouri LSU game is a noon game. I think I saw, was that the last one? It might have been. But those were the 2 ranked teams that got my attention that are kicking off at noon. So,
Don, I think you missed Maryland and Ohio State starts at noon.
I definitely did not miss that one. I did not miss that one. That's going to be a bloodbath. I don't give a shit. So I'm looking forward to those 2.
Yeah, what time's the Georgia-Kentucky game?
That's at night.
Nice.
That's 7 o'clock at night. So that'll be a nice little nightcap to end the night on. Notre Dame and Louisville. Louisville's ranked, but I don't know. That one just doesn't. That one's not grabbing my attention like I had hoped it would. Louisville has it, and the few times I've seen them play a little bit this year, I haven't seen anything that wowed me on the team. I don't know that I'm going to really tune into that one. I am going to absolutely watch Oklahoma and Texas. Oklahoma's been running some points up this year, and their defense seems to be a whole lot better. I've been impressed with Oklahoma. I'm looking forward to it. You guys got anything you're looking forward to other than those 2? Were those few?
I'm actually looking forward. I think this is going to be a really intriguing matchup. Syracuse and North Carolina.
Oh.
That could be sneaky good. That could be sneaky good. Good call. I like that, Ricky. That's a sneaky good game, man. What about you, Ron? What do you got?
I think Kentucky upsets Georgia.
Oh,
Lord Jesus.
He's
Ron just hating on them Bulldogs, man. Just hating the hate.
Nah, I don't think it's hate. I don't think Ron has any hate in him.
Just
no,
hating
I
on
hate Georgia.
Oh, yeah. Wait till we start talking about the Raiders and see how much he loves it.
Oh, I'm all set. I got something in store for you guys.
I might get a beer on this one. On to the NFL.
Wait a minute. Hold on. 1 second. So, Ron, if Kentucky ends up beating Georgia, obviously Georgia falls out of 1. Where does Kentucky go to? 20 to what? Top 10?
No, probably maybe 15.
15, something like that. 13,
Yeah.
15, something like that.
The real question is how far does Georgia fall? Because I can see them going to 8 or 10.
Wow. Holy sugar. Wow.
Hey, look, you can't.
Wow.
They haven't looked great, and they're running right now off of reputation. So all it's going to take is that 1L with that weak schedule, and they're out.
Well, I just looked at the line, and the line's interesting. Georgia's favored by 15. That's a heavy line.
Dogs.
Heavy lines.
We gonna see. I will be watching that night. We gonna see. NFL time. First game out to shoot. Detroit and Green Bay, and I stayed up and watched the whole thing. Detroit manhandled Green Bay from the start of that game until it ended. They had no shot. Everything about that game was what Detroit's trying to build. They're trying to build a bully. We talked about it before. They ran it down their throats. They sacked them. They stuffed the run. Tip of the cap. Detroit, you're doing me proud. I picked you to win the damn division. Looking good so far. Do you guys have anything else to take out of that one?
I like the fact that Detroit ran the ball. David Montgomery had a monster game. They just kept pounding the ball. I mean, they, yeah, that's it.
Do you remember the text we got from Rod about a certain running back for Detroit that he was angry about not playing? At the end of the game, he was like, well, I guess I'll shut the hell up.
I remember that very well.
He had 34 to 13 touches. Come on, man. But, God, man. See, now you get me all upset already. I didn't start talking about the Raiders game. It's just, I mean, I want to see this kicks. It's supposed to be electric, but on fantasy football side, it's like, at least he got me close to what he's projected. But when you're expecting something more and you get less, it's annoying, man.
I don't think David Montgomery ever had 32 touches in his whole life.
No, and
I don't think he has either.
Too.
It's crazy.
Hey, that coach said I'm riding a hot hand, and he meant that shit. He rode him to the end of that game.
Yeah.
He said until he proves he got it, he's gonna ride it.
And look, I'll tell you what. Goff is what he is. If they can run the ball and let Goff just kind of manage the game and not make mistakes, that just helps them all that much more.
Comes back this week too. Jameson Williams.
Yes, he does. Off suspension. Yeah. That's going to be curious to see how they intertwine him, because right now it's clear they've got 2 receivers sorted out in that offense already. And the tight end's catching stuff here and there. He's not going to be a big fantasy guy, but he is going to be a guy in the NFL that can move the chains for you and keep it going. I've been pretty impressed with how they've utilized all those weapons on that team so far.
Yeah. Sure.
On to London, where the Jacksonville Jaguars and Atlanta played a fugly football game.
Yeah.
My Lord. So I guess Atlanta's defense is real, right? Like, you can quit guessing if they're real or not. They're real. Atlanta's defense put up a hell of a show. They limited them yardage-wise. I mean, I think they barely got 300 yards as a team in that game, if that. I know it was a hell of a matchup. You actually got 300 yards exactly. I knew it was close to that. Desmond Ridder was a problem halfway through that game when he threw a pick six and almost threw a second one they ended up scoring off of. That's bad, man. I mean, I know Desmond Ridder's a first-year starter for the full year. That was bad. That was as bad as it could be. The second pick was even worse because it was like back-to-back. It was terrible. It crushed any chance Atlanta had. Jacksonville, like I said, I don't know if it was Jacksonville not playing particularly well or if Atlanta's defense is that good. I think Atlanta's defense is just that good. ETN got shut down. He could get nowhere. I mean, he went nowhere. They weren't particularly getting a lot of yards passing. The longest pass play of the game was only 30 yards for the Jaguars. It was a tough game to watch, man. I woke up, early to catch it in the bed. I flipped it on. I was like, "Ooh, Jesus, I might as well go back to sleep. This is terrible." Go ahead, Ron. You got something?
Yeah, what happened to Kyle Pitts? Jonnu Smith out-touched him, had more targets, more catches than Kyle Pitts. What happened to him, and how soon? What's over under on games Ritter starts before Hinkie comes into place? Do you think?
Well, they're only 2-2, right?
Right.
Like they're going to have to fall massively under 500, I think, before you see that switch. I think they'd have to be like a 3-6 or a 2-5 type deal coming out. I think that's when you'd have to see it.
And I think that their defense is going to keep them in a lot of games. They play in the AFC South, so that's going to help. It's not like they play in a tough division. That's
right.
I think they're probably going to ride with them, until it, probably going to try and see what the kid can do.
That was tough though, man. I mean, I felt bad for the kid throwing back-to-back picks like that. I know it broke his heart. It damn sure broke the coach's heart. It is what it is. I mean,
but that's how you learn. I mean, that's those kind of things happen to everybody. But Ron, just to touch on your point, I don't know why Pitts isn't not involved more. The guy is a beast. Yeah, I don't know why the offensive game plan isn't game planned around him. He's a beast. They just don't use him.
You know who's a beast is Robinson. 14 touches for 14 carries. He's the real deal.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think after that game, you're going to see him be the featured back now. I think you're going to start to see a little bit less of that split carry time and time to get it on. Let Robinson do his thing. As far as Pitts goes, I didn't like the way they used Pitts since they brought him in. They had him in the slot all the time instead of having him in a traditional tight end role on the offensive line. I felt like that was a mismatch because it's giving guys a chance to look to see where his routes could develop. It gives the safeties a chance to check him out instead of him firing off the line, shove the linebacker, then running one way or the other. What do I know? I've just seen Shannon Sharp do it, and this kid reminded me of Shannon Sharp. Yeah. I would probably not have him in the slot as a wide receiver. That's just me.
I think he's traded. I think he'll be traded at the trade deadline.
That wouldn't surprise me.
Pitts, yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
It doesn't surprise me. On to the beat down of Miami, because Buffalo made a statement. Just plain and simple, and that's the only way you can say it. They made a statement. They came into this game with an attitude. They wanted to prove who was the better team in the AFC East. I had some serious doubts about that defense. They got after it that day. They have been working hard on getting their sacks. They've been working so hard on getting their sacks. This was the first game. Greg Rousseau from Miami. I don't know if you guys know who he is. Yeah. He was teamed up with Phillips. I think his last name was Phillips, right? He plays for Miami. They were a dynamic duo coming out of college, right? Both of them were sort of overlooked. Rousseau, or however you say his name, he needed a little bit longer to develop. You're starting to see it now. He had a couple of sacks in this game. You had Ed Oliver, the machine in the middle, been playing a long time. Ed Oliver's been playing football a long time. He had a sack. Buffalo, Josh Allen was as efficient I've ever seen him. That was amazing. That was absolutely amazing. Ricky, did you happen to watch this game?
Oh, yeah. I watched the whole entire thing.
Okay.
Josh Allen, they were able to move the ball. He was able to hit his favorite target 3 times.
Over and over again.
Touchdowns, over and over again.
Yeah.
Miami had no answer for him. They were able to actually rush the ball. They didn't rush for some crazy number, but they were able to set the pass up by just rushing the ball. And I just think they exposed Miami. Buffalo had a very good day. Everything kind of clicked, whether it was their defense or offense. And Allen looked like the quarterback I think everyone expects him to be. I still think Miami's good. I still think Miami's good. Just Buffalo had an awesome day.
Let me ask you something, Ron. When it comes to the Miami backfield, do you have to start turning the ball over to the kid Kane now, or a Chain, or I know he said how to say his name this week. I think it was a Kane. I can't remember.
H-N?
Yeah, H-N. Is it time to start giving that kid the primary carries?
I don't think so. I think like a 60-40 split, maybe, something like that, or 55-45, something like that would be the best, because because he's small too. So you got to protect that. And
he's not big. I'll give you that.
No. And plus Jeff Wilson will be coming in. So he's going to start taking some carries. It'll be interesting to see how that all works out between the three of them.
I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. I don't think you're gonna see Wilson get very many carries at all. I think he's gonna be an emergency. I don't think so. If you look at what happened in this game, he had more carries than Mostert. Mostert had 7 carries for 9 yards, and that kid had another big run. I'm not saying you give the kid 25, 30 carries a game, but I'm saying you give him 10 to 15. Yeah. I'd say 15 carries a game. Mostert maybe 10, and then maybe Wilson 5 for those tough plow yards. That's what he's good for. You gotta feed that kid the ball. He's electric. He is an electric player. He is pure speed. He is a boogeyman. Boogie up the side, baby, and he's out.
But one of his downfalls is pass protection too. So until he gets better at that, then that'll lessen his carries.
That's why you have him out there for that screen game, because when they see him, they say, well, there's no way he's going to pass it. And then you drop that little screen across the side and
bam, bam.
Gone.
Yep.
Never saw it coming.
Yeah.
On to the Turd Bowl. Denver and Chicago in a shitty mudfest of god-awful football. And there's some big news out of Denver today. They released Randy Gregory in that god-awful signing from 2 years ago.
Oh,
Thank God they're finally starting to make – there's an adult in the room in Denver named Sean Payton that's calling out bad football players and bad contracts. And he said, that guy's got to go, and who's next? So I watched this whole game, okay? I'm a Broncos fan. I can't wear it much. I'm going to wear it today, right? We won the game. Russell Wilson and the fan base in Denver, some of them, not all of them, are delusional to think Russell Wilson had a good football game. Russell Wilson at one point was 20 of 26 with 172 yards. Does that sound, and that's going into the fourth quarter, Does this sound like a guy that was having a good football game? No, it was not. He threw one long pass, and it happened to go to the kid, Marvin Mims. That kid's special. He went 48 yards, bumped his stats through the roof. So that's what got him over the 223-yard mark. I'm not saying Russell Wilson played bad. What I am saying is he didn't play great. He looked like a steady quarterback, not a $50 million guy that you're currently paying him. If you're going to make that kind of money, you've got to make some deep throws. You've got to make some crossing routes. You got to make it look good. Having said all that, Denver's defense is bad. It's bad, and they made Justin Fields look like an all-pro for 3 quarters that day.
Yeah.
Made him look like an all-pro. And in the fourth quarter came, Denver's defense, lo and behold, got a turnover and a fumble 6. In one of the wildest games I've ever seen in my life. Denver wins. I don't know what else to say. This team is, well, they're not a dumpster fire like Chicago, but they're pretty bad. Justin Fields in the fourth quarter was atrocious. It was just terrible. The fumble and the pick to end the game, unbelievably bad. He looked so great and then just fell off a cliff.
I can't believe Chicago's coach didn't get fired an hour after the game.
Yeah, they're predicting, because they play tomorrow night. They're saying probably if Chicago loses this week, which I think they will, that in between, because next week is a bye week, that he'll be let go.
Really?
Yeah.
That's surprising to me. So here's my thing. What about that GM? Right? I know they liked the GM. They were high on him.
Yeah.
This is his team. He built this team from the ground up. Like it's time to look upstairs too. And speaking of that, I don't think you're going to be long in this world for Denver's GM currently. I think some of these signings that he's had are not panning out. I think he better start dusting off that resume because it's not looking good for him. On to Baltimore and Cleveland. I don't even know. Into this shit show.
Let me say one thing about Russell Wilson. I don't know. He's number 3 in touchdown passes right now.
I know.
That's crazy.
But it's so how do I put this, right? The offense runs the ball down the field. Everything is like a little screen. It's all these little screens to the running back that's getting in there. It's very Drew Brees-esque when he was having like 40 touchdown years, where his arm was completely shot and was just a little dunk down and see if Kamara can get me 40 yards out of nowhere. Where Kamara had like that one game, he had like 6 touchdowns and 4 were receiving, but they were all little dump down passes. That's what you're seeing a lot in Denver. So I'm hoping there were signs at the end. Russell Wilson fired a shot for a crossing pattern for a touchdown. That was the best throw I thought he made all game. I mean, he fired a dart to Cortland Sutton. So that one got me out of my seat. I was like, there it is. He fired one in there like he should. Hopefully he's going to get better. That's all I got to say about my Donkeys. On to Baltimore and Cleveland. This does not deserve our time. This was just, you got a backup quarterback that's a rookie, and Baltimore was just showing every damn zone dog defensive blitz they could think of. They were going to try to run the ball to keep the kids safe. It got ugly fast. It didn't look back. I don't know. You guys got anything for me on this? Because I was just like, nope. I don't want to watch this anymore.
No.
The only thing I was happy about was Lamar Jackson had 4 touchdowns. He's my fantasy quarterback. Other than that, I don't care.
There it is.
There
it is. Yeah.
The Cleveland Browns. I actually feel bad for the Cleveland Brown fans because they're like rabid fans. They're diehards, and that franchise is just, oh my God.
It's terrible.
That friggin' football team is just.
It's a joke. Here's my shocker of the weekend.
Yeah.
Houston beat the hell out of Pittsburgh.
Right.
And didn't just, manhandled them. And you guys remember I brought it up a couple weeks ago. I said, hey, man, watch out for C.J. Stroud. That kid's figuring it out. You could see it week 1. He was a little bit slow. His game is starting to pick up. He still hasn't thrown a pick. I'm liking what I'm seeing out of C.J. Stroud. Guys, give me something. Go ahead, Ron.
Oh, no. I am too. He's he's in the top 5 in yards passing. I don't think he has had interception yet. If I'm correct about that. He looks good. He looks as advertised. He looks like he's been playing for a year or two. I think he's a front runner right now.
Can I say something?
Yeah.
He looks better than advertised to me.
Yeah.
He looks better than advertised.
I think they have a great coach in Ryans. I think D'Amico Ryans is a heck of a coach.
Wow.
That guy is just, he's just a fantastic coach. He's turned that Texas last 2 years, but last year they were garbage. They had no identity.
They really were.
They had no heart. You saw them play. I think they played the Eagles one game or other games I watched. They just didn't even look like they should be in the NFL. And I'll tell you what, I give credit to the coach Ryans, man. He's got heart. He's got that team playing. That kid, Nico Collins, who came out of nowhere. He had a monster game. He had like 170 yards receiving, 2 touchdowns. I think he did that a couple games this year. I don't know all his stats, but Collins is like lighting it up. And then Pittsburgh on the other side, that Kenny Pickett, man, I wasn't a fan of his when he came out. I'm not a fan of his now. I'm a fan of Tomlin. I've always liked Mike Tomlin. I think he's a good coach. But to me, I think he gets overrated a lot. He's been with Pittsburgh a lot of years. He's a good coach. But at what point, if Pittsburgh doesn't get in there this year and they've had the last couple of years have been bad, at what point does Pittsburgh have to look at its coach and say, all right, maybe it's time to make some kind of change here?
They need to look at the OC first.
Yeah.
They do.
Well,
but Tomlin's covering for him. Tomlin's cuddling him. That's the first time Pittsburgh has ever lost to a rookie quarterback.
Yeah. Like I said, I don't know what it is about Pickett. And again, I don't watch every minute of the game. I don't see everything. So if you ask maybe a true Pittsburgh fan, if they watch, there's something about him I don't see. I don't know. I don't think he's the answer. But
and Nico Collins was coming on pretty strong towards the end of last year too.
Was he? Okay.
Yeah,
he's good.
He was.
That kid's good, man. I'm really happy for Houston just because they were garbage the last couple of years, and I do like Ryans. So I'm really happy to see him making some kind of turnaround for them. I think he's an awesome coach.
Tank Dell is a nice rookie receiver too.
He's coming. He's impressive. He's been impressive watching that kid.
Yeah.
Again, I tip my cap, man. Way to go, Stroud.
That's how
Way
I
to go,
feel,
buddy.
Yeah.
Way to go, kid. Keep it up, man.
Yeah.
I think he's finally going to be the Ohio State quarterback drafted in the first round that says, I'm here. I can play in this level. Because it's been a long time since we saw an Ohio State guy get drafted at quarterback and make it.
Well, remember, a couple of times we've already talked about this, and I'm glad that you brought that up. I don't care what kid you are coming out of college. If you don't go into a good system, you can't have success. If you're coached up by guys who know the NFL, who've played, if you're getting coached up, whether it's Ryans, I don't know who their offensive coordinator is, or other coaches, you could put the young man in a position to have success. And I think that's what you're seeing with him.
Yeah, the OC came over from Frisco.
Okay. So
Yeah.
he's
they're
he
bringing that San Francisco.
right.
Yeah.
Bringing him out there.
Hey, if you could coach the kid up and he's coachable, I mean, you know.
Yeah. Did you guys happen to catch any of the Minnesota Carolina slobber knocker of a terrible offensive showing by both teams? Good Lord, that was bad. It was bad. So Kirk Cousins threw a pick six in his end zone. It went 99 yards the other way. It was ugly football. I mean, you could just tell Bryce Young he's a deer in the headlights right now, man. He's never seen nothing like this. And I give the defensive coordinator a lot of credit. He was blitzing the safety who had 3 sacks in this game. I mean, he saw something on film and said, I can exploit this rookie, and I'm going to take advantage of it. Ugly football game. That's all I got. Ricky, you got anything?
No, I don't even want to waste time covering that.
No.
On to Ron's overtime thriller. My man was on the edge of his seat. His LA Rams are in a dogfight against the Indianapolis Colts that nobody saw. I don't think anybody saw this coming. I don't think anybody saw this game being a damn dogfight like it was. You did see some Anthony Richards, his accuracy issues came to light in this game. He was missing some guys. 11 of 25, it was shaky at best, but he kept them in the game. I mean, he ran it 10 times for 56 yards. He kept them in the game. I'm going to say this. Matthew Stafford should not have to throw the ball 40 times to win a football game against the Colts. Ron, it's your team. Go, buddy.
No, and the Rams had a running game going this week too, so it's nice to see. The Rams still have a deficiency of guarding somebody in the middle of the field. They can't do it. The same thing I said last week. They have a defensive tackle turned into an edge rusher trying to cover people in the middle of the field. That just has to stop. Richardson looked good. I think McVay went a little bit more conservative than he should have in the second half. 2 field goals missed isn't good, but hey, they figured out how to win with Stafford hurt too. He got hurt. He got dinged up. He's a tough son of a bitch, man.
He really is. I give him a lot of credit. He really is tough. I'll tell you.
And
well, if you're going to be Detroit's quarterback for a decade, you better be.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
If you see the replay of the touchdown pass to Puka Nacua, Kyron Williams just picked up that blitzer like it was nobody's business, man. That's why he got the pass off. It was a great game. The Rams are more than I expected right now. They have a defense in the top 10, and the offense is number 4 or number 5 scoring offense. But yeah,
they're tough. They're tough. They are tough. I thought they'd be.
And they hung in there against San Fran, even though they ended up losing. But they hung in there for a half. I did watch this game, most of it. That kid, that Puka Nacua, man, he's come out of nowhere. He's having a great season. Ron, I did want to ask you: is Cooper Kupp coming back this week against the Eagles?
He practiced today.
Yeah.
If he does come back, we'll be on a pitch count.
Okay, I got you.
He's in the window, right? Like they have the next 3 weeks to decide if they're going to bring him back or not. So he's in the window right now.
I got you.
That whole thing is still a little wonky because they never actually said what's going on, and other than it wasn't as bad as they thought it was, but then why is it taking them this long to get back? So we'll see. They said if he's 80 to 90%, then they'll play him, but I won't expect him to play a lot.
Okay.
I'm going to move on now to the Saints and Tampa Bay game because, dude, what the hell's going on with New Orleans, man? They got Derek Carr. I thought he would be able to help this team a hell of a lot more than he is. Everything with him was just bad. Tampa Bay's got a decent defense. I can't take that away. But 3 damn field goals, it looked terrible out there. It was a travesty. Baker Mayfield, dude, 3 touchdowns against the Saints defense, who have a good defense. That was a terrible showing. I don't know what the hell happened to the Saints. They got to take a break and take a look at what they got. Larry says This segment of the program is brought to you by your local Louisiana waste management and trash pickup, coming to a Saints stadium near you.
Thank you,
was
Larry.
terrible.
Larry.
My God. Larry turned me on to a guy that called into a show, and it was the funniest thing ever. He said, all we got is screens, wide receiver screens, running back screens, tight end screens, screen to your mama's house, screens at a submarine. It's all we got.
Now, Carr sprained his AC joint last week.
It's got to be affecting him, right? I
So
was going to
why-
bring that up.
why-
I'm glad you did.
Why didn't they bring? And maybe Larry answers too. Why didn't they start Winston? Winston been a
Yeah.
better start because you can't dink and dunk all the time because they're what? And then didn't Kamara like 14 targets or something like that? 14.
Yeah,
catches,
it was. He was high. I mean, it was.
That's why they shouldn't have started Carr. They should have started Winston.
I'm
think-
on the same boat. I'm in the same boat.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know why Winston isn't starting. Is he hurt or just
No.
you know why or? But Kamara did. He had 13 receptions for 33 yards.
Yeah.
That's not going to cut it. 3
It's
yards
not.
of reception. So
Well, they were jumping the route as soon as he came out. They knew where it was going. I mean, you could tell Derek Carr was not healthy in that game. I mean, he wasn't putting the ball down the field, and it looked like a struggle to throw it more than 10 yards. I feel
don't know
bad for the Saints fans.
I don't know what happened to the Saints defense either. I was so high on them, and you're making Baker Mayfield look, like Tom fucking Brady. Part of my language.
On to the next game, Eagles and Washington. What the hell was that? What is going on with your Eagles, man? Talk to me. You break this down. I am totally confused. I don't know what the hell I was watching. Are the Eagles going to play a good game of football this year, or is this who they are?
I think this is who they are. I'll be honest with you. I think teams like Washington and even coming up this weekend, I think they're going to game plan for the Eagles secondary. The Eagles don't have a strong secondary. Now, the Eagles might outscore you. They might score 30 plus points a game once their offense gets going. But I think this is going to be more typical than atypical.
Man.
I give Washington credit. I give that young quarterback they have a lot of credit. He was poised in there. He made some nice plays. He did a really nice job. The Eagles just kept battling. They had a couple big passing plays to AJ Brown. But look, the Eagles got lucky to pull this one out by that 50-some yard field goal in overtime. I thought it was going to end in a friggin' tie. I was going to break my TV. But you know what? I didn't expect the Eagles to blow them out just because it's a division game, and I just think it's going to be battle. Every game is going to be battle. I don't think the Eagles are going to be blowing teams out, but
Do you want to know what I think it is? You want to know what I think you lost? Gardner. I think that safety you had last year, Gardner.
Yeah.
I think he was the linchpin on the back end of that secondary. That he's highly underrated. I honestly believe this. I believe because of his speed deep, he allowed those corners last year to jump a lot of routes. He's gone now.
Well, I will also add this, that they're down a couple key pieces in the secondary. Maddox is down, a couple other guys. So they're kind of playing with a couple backups, but they're just getting exposed. And that's why I was asking about Kupp, because, I mean, I don't know, he's probably not coming back super healthy, but teams who can pass the ball, the Eagles are going to have a hard time against them.
Yeah. Do you think that maybe after 2 years now, the same scheme, that they kind of figured out what they're doing, so maybe that's one of the issues too?
Well, that's possibility. And I also look at they have a new offensive and a new defensive coordinator. So I think that's part of it too. Look, the Eagles are 4-0, and which is at the end of the day great. I just think that they definitely have to work on some things, and at some point they are going to be exposed. But the Eagles are a very, very good team. But
they're good, but they're making it look tough, man. They're making it look too damn hard.
Oh yeah.
So And Howell, by the way, tip of the cap, because when you guys scored with, I think it was a minute one left or a minute exactly left, I said, well, that's game. And Howell goes, doop, 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 right down the field like it was nothing.
And when we were sitting here watching it, even the announcers were like, that was too much time when they scored that touchdown to A.J. Brown. I think they gave him back like I don't know, 130, 135 or something. He came downfield. He threw that touchdown. That was a nice touchdown. I give that kid a lot of credit.
We'll see. Who do you got? Well, we'll talk about next week here. Just a minute. On to Tennessee and Cincinnati. Can we sit Joe Burrow down now? Can we finally admit that this guy's hurt? Can we stop trying to trot his ass out there and just ignore the fact that his calf is totally shot to hell? He cannot throw the ball. He can't move in the pocket like he normally does. They're going to get their $250 million quarterback killed. This was an atrocity in itself. Cincinnati should have never put him out there. You could tell from the opening snap, and then he comes out today and says, I feel as good as I have all year. That's not saying much, man. That's not telling me a whole lot. 20 of 30 for $165. Ryan Tannehill had more passing yards in this game. I'm done. That's all I got. I'm done. Trash.
Then you got Jamar Chase saying, I'm always open. I'm always open. I'm always open. And Jamar Chase is actually – wanted him to sit and get well because
he's been saying it for the season.
Yeah.
You brought it up. He's been saying it for the season, Ron.
Yep. So
it's just
Bengals doing the Bengals things, man.
Yeah, you know what? I don't know. Well, I don't know if Barrow's saying, don't sit me. I'm good enough just to get by. But I think he's hurting him. I think he's got to sit. He has to get healthy. I mean, because like you guys talked about, if you keep putting him in there and he gets like seriously injured, now your $250 million guy is done. He's shot.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Just sit him.
And I will add too, don't forget, Burrow does have a history of injuries.
Yeah, I mean, he gets dinged up.
So, I don't know. It's a tough situation. Just real quick, do you think so far this year, since we're speaking of Burrow, do you guys think he's been the biggest disappointment so far?
I don't think so, just because he's injured. I can't put that on him because he's injured. The biggest disappointment to me so far this year has been Justin Fields because of all the hype that was around him coming into this season that I kept hearing about. I'm telling you, it was all over the internet, man. And I know you don't want to hear it, but it was everywhere. Everywhere.
It's not that I don't want to hear it, and I'm not disagreeing. I just have a hard time saying that about him because of his team, right? Like there's no hype for the Bears, no expectation. It's hard to, you know what I mean? He's playing on a crappy team.
You must have missed a lot of the guys talking this offseason because I'm telling you, it was all over Twitter. It was all over Pro Football Talk. How great Justin Fields looked. Justin Fields, potential MVP. Justin Fields is looking amazing. He's got a number one wideout. He looked like the guy they were talking about against Denver for 3/4 of that game. And then all of a sudden it was midnight and the pumpkin appeared.
Yeah.
So that's enough of that. On to the Chargers and the Raiders and the shit show that continues to be Las Vegas.
I'm just going to sit back and listen.
O'Connell got his big trance.
Give me 1 second. I'm going to get popcorn.
O'Connell had his chance and got the ever-loving
Okay. Now let's go.
Dude, they did O'Connell no favors in this game, man. The kid dropped back 39 times. He was sacked 7 times, fumbled it twice, had a turnover, and yet they still had a chance to win this game late. Justin Herbert did not look good at all. He was, 167 yards. He only got sacked twice, but he didn't look good. What the hell is going on with the Raiders right now? Now Chandler, which is the other part, right? So the Chargers just traded JC, traded him back to the New England Patriots where they signed him from, the defensive back who hasn't seen the field. The Raiders just cut Chandler Jones. Denver cuts Gregory. All these guys were signed 2 years ago as big free agents, and it's gone to hell. Ron, what the hell's wrong with the Raiders other than Josh McDaniels?
Well, the top says McDouchebag is a POS. He can't call a game. Nothing against your Broncos. Nothing against your Broncos here. What I'm going to say. They only scored 17 freaking points against the Broncos.
I agree.
I got to take this one. The wind's going to blow it off. The wind's pick is going to blow it off. McDaniels just can't. Okay. Let me breathe. How do you see after Mac sacks him 3 times, you don't send help out to chip Mac, for one thing? How do you not do that? How do you not challenge a freaking touchdown to Devontae Adams? How do you not do that? How do you call a play earlier in the game that didn't work and do the same thing within the first 5 yards, probably on the 3-yard line for a pick 6? Why don't you run the damn ball? Why you got to be Pete Carroll in the Super Bowl? Run the damn ball. I'm so done. I'm done. It just needs to stop. It's a shit show. I don't care. They are the worst team in the NFL right now.
No, hell no. The Bears have entered. No, the Bears have entered the chat. The Bears have entered the chat. They are not. The Bears, then the Broncos, then I'll give it to your Raiders. No, Denver's second.
They need to blow the whole thing up. This is the problem. You might relate this a little bit too, Don, is the Raiders, instead of getting a right coach, they go to splash. They did it with Gruden. They did it with McDaniels. They should have hired their freaking old special teams coordinator.
The guy that won that year out. I agree. Yeah. I know exactly what you're talking about.
The players wanted him to be a head coach. But Mark Davis.
They played hard for that guy. They played hard. Mark
Davis with his 50-cent damn haircut said, nope, I need this guy. I need a splash freaking hire. No different from Peyton getting hired.
I'll say this. I like Sean Payton because he had the stones to say, Randy Gregory, your ass is out of here. You're not playing good football. I don't need you on this team.
It's just they're going to get their asses whooped this on Monday night, man.
We'll talk about that in a minute. We'll talk about it in a minute.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. Need to fire McDaniels. Somebody needs to have the balls to fire McDaniels. Their first round draft choice has hardly played.
Well, he's coming back from an injury too, though. I do know that. Like he had all season surgery. So
I know, but okay. So this is 4 games in, and he was feeling better at the end of the preseason. They said that he's just not developing fast enough. Well, whose fault's that?
Sometimes it's the player. Sometimes it's the player.
I'll tell you what. I think Aiden O'Connell. I think O'Connell actually did a pretty nice job. He had that bad INT, but other than that, he battled, and I really like that kid. I hope they keep him in there. I do.
He played hard, but man, he just got hit so damn much. It was hard. You cannot gauge his complete game just because he was getting his ass annihilated every time he dropped back. I mean, that was just
he got sacked 7 times. 7 times.
Just insane
by Matt.
You know, yeah. But he battled though. I do give the kid credit. He kept battling. He was,
And that one fumble was the freaking tuck rule from the Patriots Raiders game, and then in the playoffs, and they call it a damn fumble. Oh, good God.
Well, the tuck rule I think is gone now. I think that's why it was that.
Oh, really?
I think the tuck. I think that's gone, but now it's the forward motion. It's got to be going forward.
You guys remember what year that was? Wasn't that 2002?
Yeah, I think so.
2002 for Brady, right?
Yeah. Wow. I remember bartending.
That seems like a lifetime ago. That was a fucking lifetime ago.
We got 4 games left to cover. 3 of them I'm not going to go into too much detail about. Dallas embarrassed Coach Belichick, which I never thought I'd say. The special teams conversion, it was a disaster for the Patriots from the word go. Dallas wanted revenge from last week. It was over before it started, so to speak. Big Lou says the pumpkin pie haircut owner of the Raiders is going to ride her down with McDouche. You're doomed.
Yep.
I agree.
Sad.
Yeah.
Dallas ran roughshod. You guys got anything on that?
No, I mean, I think Dallas's defense is real. I don't know about their offense, but yeah, they kicked their ass, and I was happy to see it. So,
yeah, same here.
San Francisco CMC had a day. I mean, he was untouchable all day. The guy just went slam off. I give Josh Dobbs credit. He really did battle his ass off, but it was just too much to overcome. That San Francisco team's going to the Super Bowl.
Let me tell you.
My pick's looking good, baby. My pick's looking good.
They are real. I mean, I'm calling it what it is. They are a complete real team, both sides of the ball. Scares the shit out of me. They are good.
Yeah.
San Fran's good. Really good.
Seattle and New York, that was terrible. Seattle sacked the New York Giants 11 times in that game.
Yeah.
It
I
was
don't even-
terrible from the word go. It's not even worth covering.
I don't even want to talk about that game.
It was terrible. The Sunday night game, however, between the Chiefs and the Jets, and look, I'm clearly a Broncos fan, but there was some officiating in that game that I thought was suspect at best. Gardner getting called, Hot Sauce getting called for a pass interference that I didn't think was PI.
Nope.
They had done much worse throughout the game. If you're going to call it the whole game, not when the whole thing's on the line.
That was a garbage call.
Yeah,
garbage.
there were some other, that was the one that stands out. There were some other calls in that game that looked terrible. It wasn't good. Mahomes looked bad. He's clearly does not have a number one wide receiver on this team.
No.
They double teamed Travis Kelce all night and kept him contained. They're going to have to get a receiver on this team because I don't think they had one. I said it when the year started. I didn't think they had a number one wide receiver other than Kelce. And if they can't get a guy that's going to get speed on the outside, they're not going to be in a whole lot of ball games. You know, Zach Wilson played admirably. I thought he really showed his best game so far of the year. But the rest in that game, man, I mean, say whatever you want. They gave him the first down that ended the game. That was it. I don't know what you guys thought. I thought it was horse shit.
Yeah, I think so too. I will say I might not watch another Chiefs game ever because of freaking Taylor damn Swift. I'm done with that. Listen,
I was not gonna bring it up.
I ain't bringing it up.
I swear to God, I was not gonna bring it up. If I'm not gonna watch it either. I'm not gonna watch another effing Chiefs game on TV. I don't care who they play, what time it is. If it's against the Eagles, I don't care. I am not watching it. I don't want to hear her name. If someone mentions it on Twitter, blocked, unfollow. I know. Listen, I swear to God, I don't want to hear her name. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to effing hear it.
Yeah,
I can't blame you there. I can't.
I'll text you guys a story after this about her.
Oh, dear God.
Oh, all right.
So on to next week's games. Clearly, you'll be watching your Eagles. You'll be watching your Raiders and Rams. I'm going to watch my Broncos. Give me a game, Ricky, that you're going to be watching next week that doesn't include your team.
Well, I will say this about my team. It's going to be a tough week.
Yeah, you guys got a matchup, baby.
It's going to be a tough week. Let me just scroll through something here real quick. Another game. Give me 1 second here.
I can give you mine.
Yeah.
I got.
Right,
go ahead. Go ahead,
go
Ron.
ahead.
Go ahead, Ron.
Or,
Ron, go ahead.
Niners and Cowboys.
I had a feeling somebody was going to say that.
Yeah,
I had a feeling.
Yeah.
Yeah, let me say something about we will see how the young secondary does against your receivers too. You know, they're doing good and stopping the long ball, but you got some racehorses out there that, might put it into that.
I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah.
That's what I've been watching. Go ahead.
I'm interested to see the Bengals and Cardinals just for the simple fact of let's see now. Let's see if Joe Burrow, let's see where he is. And the Cardinals are 1-3, but I've been saying this the last couple of weeks. They haven't given up. They haven't quit. They're a kind of a fighting team. Dobbs is doing a nice job in there. I'm very interested in that. I want to see what happens there. I want to see how bad the Bengals are, if that's where they're headed.
If that's the case, right?
Yeah,
I got you.
If that's the case, yeah.
I've got one that you guys are not going to think I was going to pick. I really don't. Miami and the Giants in Miami, because I want to see, are the Giants, if they lose, they're already probably done. But if they lose this, they're dead. They're dead. You do not get up from the mat at 1-4 and come charging out and do anything. They lose this, they're dead. And here's the other thing I want to see. Do they have any fight left in them? Because I didn't see any fight in that game. I saw plenty of guys wanting to fight. I just didn't see any football fight come out of that team. So that's one I'll be watching. So looking forward to it. Guys, you got anything else?
I don't know what happened to the Giants. I mean, they came on strong last year.
I know, dude.
I don't know what happened to them.
Okay. I'll equate this to last year with the Rams offensive line.
Yeah.
They had, every week they had new offensive linemen in, and it sucked. And I think that's what's happening with the Giants too. If you can't protect them, you can't do anything. And then let's see what happens if Saquon comes back this week too. If that changes things up a little bit.
He's been ineffective this year. Like from what I've seen, he really has.
They can't run the ball. They can't pass block. They can't run block. They don't get the ball to the receivers. I mean, they look like garbage.
And you're right, though. The injuries has definitely hurt this team. But that was, dude, I mean, he was taking 3-step drops, and there were 2 guys right in his face. He had nowhere to go. And it was right up the gut. It was right up the gut.
Let me just add this real quick. I don't remember the last time I saw an over 10-point spread. Giants are 11-point dogs this week. Wow. 11 points. That's a lot. That's a lot.
I mean, let's see some of this sweet action.
11
yes,
points.
they are.
Yeah.
Yes, they are. Wow.
That tells that line screaming at me.
Yeah.
Damn, Detroit is a 9.5-point favorite at home. That's another big line to look at.
Wow. 9.5. When the hell was the Lions? When was the last time they were 9.5-point favorites against anybody? Holy Moses.
I don't think I've ever seen that.
No.
Let me ask you guys something. We know that Frisco and Philly are probably the 2 top NFC teams. Do you think Detroit is starting to creep in a little bit to that conversation, or do you need to see a little bit more of them?
They're not there yet. They just don't have the horses on both sides.
Yeah.
Don't forget, Jared. I can't, as much as I want them to win, I can't forget Jared Goff's a quarterback. I will never forget that.
And just to be honest, to me, Eagles and San Fran are the 2 top. The Cowboys are playing defense, there. I can't put the Lions up at no. I can't put them that high yet.
No. But guys, you got anything else? Because that's all I got. I appreciate y'all coming out.
No. Thank you, gentlemen. I thought that was an awesome program.
Yeah.
Guys, if you enjoyed watching the show, please give us a thumbs up and a like. Subscribe to the channel. You can catch us on SCM Online. We are the Squared Circle Maniacs. This has been the Squared Circle Gridiron. We're out of here.
Peace out.